You're listening to the weekly Parsha Podcast with Ari Goldwag, recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel, 5784, 2024. This week's Parsha is Parsha Seitze, and I'd like to share with you a very interesting thought. It relates to Shabbos, it relates to Rosh Hashanah, it relates to Mashiach, and interestingly, the foundation of this idea is based on the mitzvah of shalech to shalach, that if a person wants to take the eggs of a mother bird, there's an obligation to send away the mother bird. We're going to try to understand a little bit of what that has to do, what is the concept behind it, what is what are we supposed to learn from this mitzvah, and also, interestingly, we're going to see that it has to do with Mashiach. You know, it's one of my favorite topics, as you might know. And we're going to see it has to do with Mashiach. The pasuk tells us, Ki yikarei kan tzipor lefanecha. If, let's say, you're walking along, Baderech, b'chol eitz, ayala aretz, efreichem ha'beitzim, let's say, you come across a nest. The mother is in the nest, it has in it chicks, or it has in it eggs that you want to take, v'ha'emer vetzitz ala efreichem, the mother bird is there, taking care of the chicks, ayala beitzim, or on the eggs. So the Torah tells us, don't take the mother bird together with the baby birds. Don't take them together. Shalech tishalach es ha'em. Send away the mother bird. You're allowed to eat food. You're allowed to eat. These animals are made for us to be able to eat. And the pasuk says, but send away the mother bird. Don't take them all together. It's a similar commandment to not to cook the child in the mother's milk. It has to do with a sense of respect for generations. Don't destroy something completely. Let the mother get away. She'll be able to make more birds. You're not going to destroy the species, perhaps we could say. She'll be able to lay more eggs. The species will continue. And the pasuk ends up by saying that this will be good for you and you will have a long life. This will be good for you and you will have a long life. So, what's the message or the concept behind this mitzvah? So I'd like to turn for a moment to the Midrash. I'm going to share with you two Midrashim, actually three Midrashim, one of which is just the pshat in the pasuk, and the pshat in the mitzvah, and one is the connection to Mashiach, and a third Midrash that has to do with Mashiach and Yakov and Asov, and some Sukkim and Yishaya, Kliyakar. There's a lot going on here I want to share with you, and it's very deep, it's very powerful, and I encourage you to stay with me from now till the end. You'll have a really deep idea. One thing I want to point out, says the Midrash, Shalech to Shalach, send away the mother bird. Amar Abelazar lehoyet tzarich lamer kain. The Abelazar says, it's not really necessary sending away the mother bird. I'm saying the mother bird, Hashem doesn't, Hashem rachma v'kol ma'asav, Hashem has compassion on all of his creations, but the pashtus is, the most simple understanding is that that's talking about all of his creations, human beings. Hashem made the birds for us to eat them, for us to enjoy them, for us to cook them. Okay? It doesn't sound so nice to the Western ear, but that's the facts. Or they're for karbanos, they're for sacrifices, etc. There's a purpose for them, but they're not sentient beings. They're not humans. Despite if you watch Sesame Street and you believe in Big Bird, they're not sentient human beings, right? So, what is the idea? Why does the Torah seem to care about the mother bird? The mother bird is involved in the honor of the world, the continuing function of the world. So it should be saved. What does it mean exactly? So I'm going to say my own pshat based on other things we're going to see. I think that it means that the mother bird is involved in the continuation of its species. The mother bird cares about its children, about its either the chicks or the eggs that are in the nest. And as a reward for that, we're going to let it go. And I'm adding give it an opportunity to be able to continue, to have more eggs, more chicks. Okay? Why? Because it cares about, and of course it's instinctive, but the Torah is saying this instinct is something that needs to be encouraged, needs to be valued, needs to be shown respect. We need to show respect for the mother bird, as it were. Then the Midrash says something interesting. We find that a bird doesn't have any intrinsic merit. It doesn't have any merit from its forefathers, from the birds that came before it. It doesn't have any covenants with God. But yet, its children, they do something for it, right? Because the person wants to take the babies, wants to take the chicks or the eggs, so the mother is allowed to go free. You can't take the mother and kill the mother. So it benefits from, we could say, taking care of its children. B'nei Avram, Esav, Yaakov. So we, Klal Yisrael, the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, she'esh lam zchus avos. We have the merits of our forefathers. We have from whom to learn. We'll see, this is an important point here. Alachas kama v'chama, certainly, she'im sarach echad mehem shu mechaper alem l'ased lavoi. That if someone has gone off, someone has done something wrong, Hashem will bring about a kapara for us. Just like the mother bird is rewarded for something that it's doing for its children, so too we have merits. And we have a future. We have a future. Even if we've gone off, even if we've done something wrong, we still have a future. L'ased lavoi, right? In the future, there's gonna be a kapara, there's gonna be an atonement for us. That's not, l'ased lavoi is a interesting language. It usually refers to Mashiach, Messianic age, or Olam Haba, world to come. What does this mean? We're gonna come back to this point, but it's gonna connect in to the next part of the Midrash that I want to share with you. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Okay, so before the more interesting, simple pshat, why do we send away the mother bird? It's to recognize what it's done. It's done something good for its children, for its babies, protecting them, bringing them into the world perhaps. We want to acknowledge the value of the mother. We should acknowledge the value of our mothers, generally speaking. Thank you, mommy. Thank you to my wife, mother of my children. Thank you. There's a recognition, an appreciation that's engendered in this mitzvah. Okay. Davar acher. Another explanation, says the Midrash. This is in Parsha Vav. What we just read was in section Hey. This is in Parsha Vav, section Zayin, the 7th section. Ma'u shalech t'shalchas ha'im. What is accomplished by sending away the mother bird? In Kiyamta mitzvah zay, says the Midrash, something that is very difficult to understand on the surface of it. In Kiyamta mitzvah zay, if you have fulfilled this commandment, at memar levoy melech haMoshiach, if you fulfill this commandment, and I'm adding, if you understand the essence of what this commandment is, and you fulfill it, because it's not an easy mitzvah to get. It doesn't happen all the time. I happened to be able to do this mitzvah not long ago because my sister had such a nest on her porch, and she was able to be mafker. Okay, it's a little complicated exactly how you get it to work, but it's not a mitzvah that comes along often. But if you do this mitzvah, or maybe if you understand the essence of it and you take the message to heart, I'm adding, you help bring Mashiach. Why? What does this mitzvah have to do with Mashiach? Shekasav by shiluach. It says in two different contexts the word shiluach, which means to send. Over here we're saying that you have to send away the mother bird. And in consonance with that, there's a different sending. Hashem sends Mashiach. Hashem sends Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, to inform us that Mashiach is about to arrive. What is the sending? We need to understand what's the sending. What is the idea of sending? But the pasuk says in Yeshaya, and I'd like to also read this to you in the context, but first out of context. Mishalchei regel hashor v'chamor. The pasuk refers to those who are sent. Regel, with literal, the Midrash is taking it very literal. Mishalchei regel, they're sent by foot. The shor and the chamor, the ox and the donkey. Before Shem explain the ox and the donkey, what is the idea? We're going to see more of this in another Midrash. But the ox and the donkey the ox is Mashiach ben Yosef. Yosef is referred to as a shor. B'chor shoyrei hadarlai. And the chamor, we know that Mashiach ben David comes, he appears as an ani reichev al chamor, he comes as a poor man riding on a donkey. So the pasuk refers to Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David being sent. So when you send away the mother bird, you are helping Hashem, as it were, to send Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. Right? We need to understand this, but that's what it says. Davar acher, now it talks about Eliyahu Hanavi. Amar Rav Tanchuma, im kiyamta mitzvah hazos tamamar es Eliyahu Hanavi zachal atoif. If you send away the mother bird, shalech to shalach, so you you hasten the advent of Elijah the prophet, that the pasuk says, sheyavish akasu by shiluch, it also says sending by Elijah the prophet. Shenemar hinei anochi sholech lachem es Eliyahu Hanavi. Behold, I am sending to you Elijah the prophet. V'hu yavai v'yinachem eschem. He will come and he will console you. Okay? He says the hearts of the sons on the fathers and the hearts of the fathers on the sons. He's going to bring everything back into balance. Which is interesting because here we are, as the Meforshim point out, here we are talking about the mother bird and the child bird. The child protects the mother. The fact that you're taking the baby birds, it helps the mother that she has a kapara, she gets sent away. What's going on here? What's the concept here? Okay, that's the Midrash. And we need to understand this. So, two things. First of all, I want to read to you one more Midrash, and this Midrash is found. This is referenced in the Marzu or the Eitz Yosef. It's the Midrash Tanchum in Parshas Vayishlach. Okay, hear this, because we talked about a shor and a chamor, the ox and the donkey, and there's another place where the pasuk says shor and chamor. Besides for this pasuk in Yishai, which I do want to see inside, there's another place that talks about a shor and a chamor. Yakov Avinu is coming back he's married his wives, he has 12 tribes, or 11 out of 12. Binyamin is about to be born. And Esav is coming out, and it seems like he's in a battle posture. And Yaakov sends a message to Esav. I lived with Lavan, and I have a shor and a chamor, and I've developed my own livestock. So what was he referring to when he said Vayhili shor? He said, I have an ox and a chamor and a donkey. Vayhili shor ainli li roy mimcha. Yaakov was hinting the fact that I don't need to be afraid of you. Sharei noilad Yosef shenikra shor. Yosef was born. He's called an ox. Shenanwar b'chor sharei hadoloi. The pasuk I mentioned to you earlier. He's called an ox. V'chamor ze Mashiach ben David. I'm not afraid of you, Esav, because I have someone named Mashiach ben David. Shenamar ani v'reichav al-chamor. In reference to Mashiach ben David, there's a pasuk that refers to him that he's poor and he's riding on a mule, on a donkey. It also says tzayin. Yaakov says, I have sheep. Ele zechusan shel shvatim. Sheniku b'neim tzayin. Shenamar v'atein tzayin kedoshim. The pasuk in Ezekiel chapter 34 verse 31 refers to the Jewish people, to the tribes of Israel, as sheep, holy sheep. So I've got all of this, says Yaakov. Gam Yehuda stani shel Esav. Judah was also a powerful enemy of Esav. He has a counterforce. He's a counterforce of Esav. Shenemar va'aryeh kabakar yochal teven. Right? It's perhaps more famous that Esav, his counterforce is Yosef, Mashiach ben Yosef, right? V'hoya beis Yaakov eshu, beis Yosef lava, v'beis Esav lekash, v'dolku behem v'acholum. The force, the power of Yosef is to destroy the power of Esav, right? But the Midrash says that Mashiach ben David also has that power. Yehuda, who is the forebear of Mashiach ben David, It says va'aryeh kabakar yochal teven, that it's a pasuk in Yeshaya in the future. The lion and the cattle are all going to eat. Instead of eating meat, they're instead of being chayos tarfos, they're not going to be carnivores anymore. They're going to eat teven, which means straw. Esav is referred to Esav lekash. He's straw. So both the bakar, which is Yosef, who's the shore, he's the ox, and the Aryeh, which is Yehuda, which is the lion, they will both destroy Esav. Perish Aryeshu Yehuda, Shenemar Gur Aryeh Yehuda, Kabakar is Yosef Yechal Teven. Yehuda is the lion. He's like Yosef, who is the cattle. They're both going to destroy the straw. Ze Esav Shu Teven Shenemar Uves Esav Lekash. Uminayin She'av Kulam Yedinuhu. And how do we know, says the Midrash, that not just Yehuda and Yosef, not just Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David, those are not going to be the only ones who will come to destroy Esav in the future, but it's going to be all of the tribes. Shneimar, Ma'im Cholaviyah, pasuk in Yechezkel, refers to the entire nation. Midrash finishes off, Eved, V'shivcha, pasuk says, Yaakov Avinu says, I have everything, I have animals, which really means Yosef and Yehuda, etc. I have Moshe. Eved is a Moshe. He said, I have slaves. It's a reference to Moshe. Moshe Eved Hashem. Shivcha Zurus. I have a maidservant. It's a reference to Rus. Let's say that King David is going to come. Okay, so I'm reading you a lot of information here, and there's a reason why. I'm trying to understand what's going on here. Why is Yaakov saying so much about his kids? It's very nice. He has kids. It's going to be in the future. I'm saying he's coming now to deal with Esav. Why is he talking so much about kids and his offspring and his children and the powers that he has? And I'm as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, first of all, in our context, we're talking about Shalech to Shalech Sa'im, when you take the kids, right? There's something about kids and the mother. Something about kids and the mother. We'll see in the Kliyuk are exactly what's the idea, the depth of it. But let's remember, Esav, what was his power? Esav's spiritual power was that he was Machabed Av. He respected his father. He showed a tremendous respect for his father. And Yaakov knows he has to come and battle Esav in that respect. For his respect. He has tremendous spiritual power. And Yaakov is saying, you might have the power of the father, of the respect for our father, but I have the power of my children. That's what it seems to me is going on here. He's saying, I have the power of my children. What's the difference? What's the idea? What's the concept? Okay, we need to understand that. We're going to come back to that. Hold on to that thought. We're going to answer these questions. I want to just read to you the pasuk in Yeshaya before we get to the Kliyakar, which really ties up everything in a nice bundle. Pasuk in Yeshaya, I read to you about Mashach Regel Asher V'Chamor, which refers to the Hashem. It seems is going to send the ox, which is Mashiach ben Yosef, and the Chamor, which is Mashiach ben David. Reading the psukim in context is just beautiful. The psukim are talking about the Messianic age, and the pasuk says V'Shacham Amidbar Mishpat. One back. Pasuk. It's in Yeshaya chapter 32. Parak Lamed Beis, Pasuk Tesvav, verse 15. Ad Yera Aleinu Ruach Mimorim. There's going to be a time, says Yeshaya Navi, speaking 3,000 years ago or 2,500 years ago. There's going to be a time that the Jewish people are going to be outside of their land. They're going to go out into exile, but they're going to come back. Ad Yera Aleinu Ruach Mimorim. The pasuk says Hashem is going to pour out a spirit from above onto us, onto the Jewish people, onto our land. Midbar leKarmel, the section of Israel which had become desolate, became like a wilderness. It's going to come back to life. Carmel is a place of a kerem, of sados, a place of vineyards and fields. Israel is going to be transformed in the Messianic age, which we've already started to see the beginning of clearly. We're already, perhaps quite far in, as I've spoken about in the Mashiach podcast. the wilderness will become a place of vineyards and fields. It's going to come to life. A Carmel, a Yar, Yechoshev. It's going to be forests. It's going to come back. That which was destroyed is going to come back. The Shacham Midbar Mishpat. Those who dwelled in the wilderness are going to come back to a state of proper relationships between themselves and their fellows. It's Tzedakah B'Karmel Teshev. And there'll be, in these places that have changed from a wilderness to the places of inhabitation and places of habitation, they've become inhabited and they've become places of life and vineyards and fields. There'll be righteousness there. And as a result of this righteousness, there will be peace. Eventually, as we become more and more connected to righteousness and truth and the Torah and the guidance of Hashem, which is happening slowly but surely, we'll get to quietude, we'll get to confidence, we'll get to a state of peace. V'yashav ami b'nevei shalom. My nation will dwell in the city of peace, which is a reference to Yerushalayim. V'mishkenais miftachim. And in sanctuaries that are safe. Just beautiful description of what we're waiting for, we're getting towards. And to a time and a place of menucha, of rest, of solitude, or not solitude, but sha'ananais, shalev, v'rad beredes hayar, v'shifla tishpal ha'ir. What had previously been a place where we had lost these forests, we had lost these cities, everything's going to come back to life. And here's where we get to our pasuk, Ashreichem zeri al kol mayim. Oh, praiseworthy are you, those who will be able to plant your seeds. There'll be so much water. There'll be so much water. Mishalche regel ashur v'chamor. The pasuk pshat in the pasuk means you'll be sending out your oxes and your donkeys to collect all of the produce that you'll be producing. But the pasuk is talking about Mashiach, is talking about this amazing, peaceful age. And the Midrash understands that how does it come about? By those who are sent. It comes about by those who are sent, Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. They bring about this peaceful age through their wars, through, as the Meforshim explained, through the destruction of Israel's enemies, so that the world respects us. Sounds like what's going on today. The destruction of our enemies so that our enemies respect us. But also a rejuvenation of our spiritual side. But it's so interesting because the pasuk starts off, it's talking about sending. That's what we're talking about here. Sending away the mother bird. There's a sending. What is the idea of sending? That's what I want to understand. What is the idea of sending? What's with all these kids? What's with all the Yakov Avinu referring to his offspring in his... But here also, Ashreichem Zorei al Kol Mayim. There's a planting. And there's a sending. There's a planting and a sending. Okay? So these are all the questions. And now, for the wrap-up, I'd like to read to you from the Kli Yakar. Because the Kli Yakar on this pasuk gives us an incredible insight, and it really explains everything that we've asked. He says like this. What is the idea behind this mitzvah? He says that there are two places where we find that the pasuk tells us we're going to have a long life. One place is by kibud av ha'em, respecting our father and our mother. And the other place is over here, sending away the mother bird. And he says that they're really the same theme. We're being an example to our kids. When we properly respect our parents, our kids are going to respect us. That's what it's about. That's part of what this mitzvah is about. And when our kids see us send away the mother bird, when we take the baby birds, we're showing honor, as we said from the Midrash. We're showing respect for the mother bird, that she was involved in taking care of the baby birds. We're going to let this baby, the mother bird, fly free so she can do her thing again. So she can continue the species, but it's a show of respect for the mother bird. So if we show respect to those who give birth, Even when we're talking about animals, certainly our kids should show respect to their parents, their mother, their father. And the reward for both of them is long life. These two mitzvahs strengthen our belief. Hear this, because this is the foundation of what's going to explain everything. They strengthen our belief in the fact that the world was created, and Hashem is constantly recreating the world. Everything that comes is from an original source, which is Hashem. Right? What does it mean I respect my parents? What does it mean I respect the mother bird? I'm showing I respect the antecedents. I respect those who came before, who brought me about. That's why I'm here. It's because of my parents. Why do they exist? Because it's their parents and their grandparents. I know my name. Do you know your name? My name is Ari Shraga Chaim, ben Reb Meir, ben Yitzchak, ben Mishulam Shraga, ben Reb Aaron, ben Yisrael Hirsch. Well, that's all the way back to 1799. All gold wags, right? So I show, when I understand where I come from, I show respect for the ultimate source of everything, which is Hashem Himself. Everything goes back to Hashem, who's the beginning of it all. Every child is born has someone who gave birth to him. And it goes back to Hashem, who's the first one who, as it were, gave birth. Just like I show respect for those who came before me, I show respect for Hashem. And Hashem gives honor to all those who give birth. Why? He gives us an obligation to respect all those who have given birth, so that we bring it back to Him. Okay, and His says the Kli Yakar beautifully. Whenever we have the mitzvah of Kibbud Av V'Em, it talks about Shabbos. It talks about the fact that Hashem created the world, and we're supposed to rest on Shabbos. Shabbos reminds us that Hashem created the world in 7 days, in 6 days, and He rested on the seventh day. They're very connected. It has to do with understanding where it all comes from. Who's the original creator? Who's the original one who brought everything into existence? Okay? That's the idea. That's the amazing depth of the idea of the mitzvah of shalech to shalach, of sending away the mother bird, is to show respect for the moiled, to the one who gives birth, so that our kids, obviously, hopefully, will learn that from us. Also, it's the same idea with Kibbud Av V'Em, but it all goes back to Hashem, who's the original one who gave birth, as it were, to everyone, to everything. Now let's look back and try to understand what is Yaakov Avinu saying to Esav. It's incredible. It's really incredible, because what he's saying is, Esav, you've got Kibbud Av V'Em. Maybe I can't fight with that. But understand, what's the chashivas of Kibbud Av V'Em? Are you like our parents? Are you a tzaddik, Esav? Look who comes from me. Look it matters who the children are. As the Midrash says, the children are mizakeh the parents. The babies, because of the baby birds, the mother bird flies free. It means that, at its essence, it's saying that what is matzdik, what proves that the parents have value, is that the kids are good. Yaakov Avinu is saying, you might have Kibbud Av V'Em, you might have it, but you didn't continue in the ways of, our parents. You're not a tzaddik, you're not righteous. Look who's going to come from you, Mashiach ben Yosef, the incredible tzaddik, Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David, incredible tzaddik. Who's going to come from you? Rus, David, Moshe. All these people, they are true offspring. They are true offspring. They are truly powerful against Esav, who claims Kibbud Av V'Em. I honor my parents. I value who's before me. But he doesn't really, because he doesn't himself do. He doesn't take on the values of his parents, so he doesn't truly appreciate them. Yaakov is saying, my kids are going to have full power because they have Kibbud Av V'Em. They have the true Kibbud Av V'Em. They emulate the ways of their forefathers. They emulate their tzidkus. They emulate their righteousness, the tzedek and the mishpat, like we saw in the Psukim in Yeshaya. We have a right to come back to Eretz Yisrael. We have a right to the vineyards grow again. Everything grows. It's the seeds that are being planted on Kol Mayim. Mayim is Torah. It's water. The water is the Torah. Why? And the seeds are the Torah. There's seeds, and there's a continuity, a continuation, because the children continue in the ways of the parents. The respect that we show for the mother bird, the respect that we show for our parents, means that we appreciate who they are and we want to be like them. Our children want to be like us. Esav doesn't have that power. Look at the world of Esav. Where's the kibbud of aim? Where's the emulation of the generations from before? The good things that they had, it's gone. It's been destroyed. The Jewish people have returned to the land of Israel, and slowly, stronger and stronger, returning to the ways of the Jewish people. And this is our power. This is our power against Esav, against the world where it claims kibbud avim. It even claims respect for God, in the Christian world maybe. But that's not where it's headed. It's not where it's headed. It's because it wasn't real to begin with. It wasn't true emulation of God. But the Jewish people have that emulation. And that is the concept of Shabbos. We remember that. And I add, because I said we're going to talk about Rosh Hashanah, I add that's what we're going for with Rosh Hashanah. That's where we're headed. Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. It's a return to the values of the Torah, a return to the fact that Hashem is our King, the fact that He created the world. Rosh Hashanah, Zayam Tchilas Masecha, we say this is the day of creation. This is when Adam HaRishon was created. This is the moment of the first Moilid, of the first person who gives birth. And when we show respect for that moment in time, we're showing respect for the fact that Hashem is the King. And we want to be like God. We want to fulfill His will. We want to try our best to be the best people that we can be and go in the ways of the Torah. And that's the schus, that's the merit that we have to be in Israel, to return to Israel. And that's the merit that we have to continue with another good year. Because what we've done previously this whole year is a representation of how we're going to continue. We're going to keep respecting what's valuable, what's truly valuable. I want to bless you and ask you to bless me. Hashem should help us, that we should continue to try to understand, to try to value, to try to respect our parents, the mother bird, Shalech to Shalach. Hashem is going to send us. It's a sending, it's a continuation of the original. In sending, we understand. Hashem should help us to understand it's all from Him. Hashem should help us to be able to experience this day of the Meshalchei Regel Hashor V'Chamor, when Hashem sends Mashiach ben Yosef, Hashem sends Mashiach ben David, and we become the representatives to the world of the fact that Hashem Himself is the original, the creator, and the original source of all that's here. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.